Hello and welcome to everyone joining my session. Today I would like to talk about two really relevant topics nowadays, and those are third-party cookies phase out and server-side tagging. A few words about me. I'm Tihomir Radev, currently working as a senior SEO specialist and data analyst at Jakawa. I'm from Bulgaria. My passions are working out, biking, and data measurement. First of all, let me quickly walk you through the agenda. It covers the situation today and what are the affected areas, how to prepare for the phase out and what are the steps to follow, migration to server-side tagging and its benefits, and what we already tested. But before that, let me share with you what is a third-party cookie. That's any cookie read or written by a site that is different from the top-level site. Meaning that, for example, if you're visiting a website and you see a cookie installed on your browser coming from a different domain than the site you're visiting, it's considered a third-party cookie. Starting with the situation today and the affected areas. As you can see, the browser market share, the most used browser is Google Chrome. That's why there is ongoing initiative coming from Google aiming to phase out all third-party cookies from the browsers, which will actually affect not only Google Chrome, but all Chromium-based browsers like Microsoft Edge and Opera. It was initially set for the late 2024. Now it's postponed to 2025 in order to address all industry feedbacks and to ensure a smoother transition. What's the situation with other browsers like Safari and Mozilla? We can conclude that they are actually a step ahead in terms of user privacy, because Safari already has its intelligent tracking preventions since 2017, and Firefox already has its enhanced tracking protection since 2019. Knowing that, let's see the situation for the users. We can say that this is a huge step ahead in the terms of user privacy, in terms of reduced tracking and more data control, improved security with reduced risk of data breaches and cross-site scripting attacks, better user experience, showing fewer irrelevant ads and less clutter browsing, and last but not least, data transparency, which will focus on first-party data collection and enhance consent mechanisms. What about the businesses? Different from the users, the businesses are going to face some challenges. Businesses must obtain explicit consent, provide without cookie information, document that consent, allow access without any cookies, and to simplify the consent withdrawal. Another challenge for the businesses could be reduced personalization in terms of advertising and marketing, need of alternative solutions in regards to shifting to first-party data collection, adaptation to privacy regulations, and increased cost and strategy shifts in terms of economy. Additionally, regulators are taking data protection more seriously. Their fines increase. As you can see on the displayed graph, the amount of fines to companies located in Europe was increased by more than 95% for the last year. Also, users care more. Based on European DPA reports from 2023, there are increasing number of complaints coming from the users. Overall, for the businesses, they should be aware that the fines are increasing, and users should know that they are able to file complaints. Now that we have a clear understanding of the current landscape, let's explore how to prepare for this significant change. The first step is implementing and categorizing of GDPR compliant CMP cookie banner. But why this is crucial? In terms of legal compliance, user privacy protection, reputation management, and the most important, transparency to the users. On the slide, you can see an example of a configured and categorized cookie banner and a link to Google's approved CMP vendors. But please keep in mind that all tracking on your website should depend on the provided user consent. And as a tip, you should not forget to update your cookie and privacy policy pages or to create them if you don't have. The second step is understanding the privacy sandbox and how you can get the best of it. Here I've listed the current API solutions which will be useful in different cases. but please keep in mind that they are expanding every day. I divided them into 3 main categories. The one that continues showing relevant content and ads, including the Topics API, which allows browsers to categorize users' interest based on their recent web activity. One API for measurement of the digital ads attribution reporting API by attributing conversions to ad interactions, and 5 different APIs to strengthen cross-site privacy boundaries, including the related website sets API, which allows websites under common ownership to declare themselves as related, enabling data sharing across those sites while respecting user privacy. The next step is to restrict your website for third-party cookies and test for breakages or any issues. From the provided link, you will find a running experiment in Google, which you can enable and to find any errors or breakage on your website. And if you find any, jumping on step 4, you can report them to Google support if there are any issues. But please keep in mind that Google support may ask you for additional information like the exact name of the issued cookie or how to reproduce the breakage. If you want to be a step further to a full GDPR compliance, you should consider the migration to server-side tagging. But before I tell you about the benefits of the migration, I will share with you what is server-side tagging and who is it for. So, do you know what is server-side tagging? If you don't, I will explain. You can think about it as a middleman between your data and the website or analytics tool or platform that is collecting it. Basically, the collected data will be sent to the server first. It's worth mentioning that it provides the availability of anonymizing or masking the collected data before sending it to the analytics tool or platform. Also, user fingerprint data collecting could be turned off and you can continue to use Adobe or Google Analytics, for example. Who is it for? Like I already mentioned, anyone using Google or Adobe Analytics and do not want to change their tracking platform, and especially large enterprises in e-commerce platforms, organizations handling sensitive data, digital marketing agencies, and websites with high traffic volumes. Knowing that, let's take a look at what are the benefits and the advantages of the server-side tagging, starting with better performance and user experience. By shifting the tag management to the server, the client-side time load is reduced. Also, improved data accuracy with reducing the risk of discrepancies caused by ad blockers, browser settings, or network issues. Advanced data privacy and security with greater control over the collected data. Enhanced advertising effectiveness and reduce dependencies on third-party cookies. Server-side tagging helps maintain reliable data collection with only client-side cookies and also helps build trust with the users or audiences. Okay, but how to configure? First, you need to create 2 containers in your Google Tag Manager account, one client container and one server container, including a GA4 connection. Then you need to register a custom domain name into your DNS records. After that, select a suitable software as a service plan subscription for your website. Create container one of those software as a service solutions, or you can use your own client server. The most used software as a service solutions are Step, Cogni, and Taggers. It's worth mentioning that setting up a custom domain name ensures your server-side tagging is more resilient, accurate, and privacy-friendly. Let's take a look at what we already tested. We turned off third-party cookies on Chromium-based browsers for a Drupal website. We found out that the following functionalities are working without any issues, and those are Google Maps, Google Drive file uploads, Google Web Capture, both hidden and visible ones, LinkedIn preview apply form, Dropbox file upload, and HubSpot for submissions. Also, you can help ensure that those functionalities are working, and this involves obtaining necessary consent and implementing robust security measures like Cloudflare's remote browser isolation, or also known as RBI. And as a final statement, the key is being transparent with the users. As a step ahead from our side, if you would like to share, well, I would like to share that we are already training a custom GPT that can provide information if your site is GDPR compliant and if there are any gaps. Also, we are constantly updating this GTP module using information from the latest data protection documents, and we have planned to move it to a subdomain which will have a free version. If you scan the QR code now, you will have to fill up a quick form, and after that, you will receive a personal link to our GPT module, and you can ask your questions or concerns. As a kind reminder, please don't forget the Drupal contribution days, starting with first-time contribution workshops, mentored contribution, and general contribution. And please share your feedback for the session. Thank you. Questions? Yes?
What's the future with the single sign-on? How they are going to work when third-party cookie? What's the future for single sign-ons with the phase-out of third-party cookies?
Single sign-ons?
Yeah, like login with Facebook, Google, or whatever.
It's actually a first-party data information which will be collected only on the user device.
And how the session will be kept after that?
That's a good question, actually.
I think the single sign-on service will keep the cookie on its domain, and then when it comes back to your website with the authorization, it creates a cookie on your domain. So you're going to have cookies in both domains, because that also guarantees that if you have an SSO and two clients, and then you go to the second client, you click SSO login, you have a cookie on the SSO service, and it comes back to your own service and creates a cookie there. So those are all first-party cookies.
So if I understand correctly, the way out of fading out the third-party cookie is to have something like a wrapper around the service you're using usually that runs on your own domain. So and then fetches the data and send it on the server back to Google Analytics or whatever you want to use.
Yes. This is with the server-side tagging. First, it will be sent to a server, then to the platform.
Yeah. Okay, but it's still the same service in the end, right? You don't have another service you have to use, but still you're using Google Analytics or whatever the client requests. Yeah.
It will be the same server, but you can have more control over the data sent to the service that you're using.
Right, because I saw Stape at some time, and then you can filter out specific values to make it GDPR compliant, for example.
Yeah, client ID or IP, at all.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Actually have a question. What happens if you don't switch to GTM server and you want to continue using Google Analytics? Is there like a poor man's solution? I'm assuming that if you cannot create third-party cookies, you're not going to be able to track to a certain extent, but you'll still be able to have some sort of anonymized, non-attributable analytics. What's the future of Google Analytics if you just want to use GTM client as it is today without a server instance and without the ability to create cookies in the future?
It will be just the new Google Consent Mode, which you actually introduced lately. But once it is integrated, it will meet all GDPR rights. And actually, if you have a well-configured banner, the server-side tagging is like an additional of anonymizing and masking. You can use the regular Google Tag Manager and consent modes with data storages for each tracking that you have. If that answers the question.
So just kind of on the back of that, would you recommend having Google Consent Mode and server-side just to be really safe.
Yeah, yeah. That
Okay.
this is 100% like safety.
Yeah,
If
perfect.
you're using both consent mode, data storages for each tag or the trigger of your trackings, and server side tagging as well, where you can mask the IPs and client IDs.
So me, as a user, I go to your website and I choose some options for my cookies and what I like to be and then what I don't like to be tracked for me, right?
Yes.
So then how is that being enforced later? Because me as a developer again, I can just ignore those on or on the server side, because on the client side I could actually see and inspect them and see what you're sending to the service, for example, the Google Tag Manager. But on the server side, I can just ignore all of those and still send everything I have for you and still keep track of that based on your session. So how do the authorities actually track those? How do they find those? Because it feels like a gap to me, but since I'm not SEO specialist.
If I understand you correct your questions, you need to see what actual cookies are installed. And after that, if you choose for example, when accepting the banner, some kind of statistic or marketing or different categories of the cookies, it will depend the cookies that we are going to install on your website. So for example, if you agree to marketing cookies, only marketing tags and functionalities will be working. And yeah, this is once again depending on how it is implemented. From the backend, it could be quite different. But from GTM, you can actually make the data storages for each category.